I think I said in the first episode that I found this game really easy to start with. Now, I think I said that before I tried building highways because oh my god did I get lost and perfectioning all of these lanes that go in and out of the highways. Even though this is obviously not my first experience with the highways, I have meddled with it before, and I must say the highway, the roads in general in this game are really fantastic, and I think it is one of the most important aspects of a city, but it's also one of the most important aspects to me about this game because you've got so many options. I mean, look at that. I had 2 cemeteries and many people in my city were dying and I needed to get some place to hide the dead bodies, so of course I needed to get cemeteries. But apparently I was able to build cemeteries underneath my highways, and apparently people are fine with that. I would never want to be buried underneath a highway, but for some reason you can place buildings underneath those things, so might at some point, if I really had a lack of space over here, might as well elevate the highway and then just place buildings underneath it. If that is actually a thing, if it at least works with a bit of overlap, you could actually do that. But yeah, this general area is kind of a area I wanted to have on the side because I wanted to have some more houses, but then again I also wanted to have a park in the middle. Now, something that I did notice is that this park didn't really raise land value as a whole, as in small parks that you can place as buildings raise the land value and make people really happy, but just in general leaving areas blank and just placing trees in them and paths and stuff like that doesn't really help to actually boost your land value as far as I can really tell, that is. But you know, it's still not the most important thing because, most of all, I just like the look of it. I don't think a city is really a city without a park, and I've mentioned that before in my Rollercoaster Tycoon 3 series, and I still stand by that point. And as you can see, I don't think I've really talked about this yet, but the names of my neighborhoods in my city are incredibly stupid. I didn't want to really come up with anything, didn't want to spend time on that, that's just trivial stuff. It's really all about the city building, but I decided to just call my city Global Village and name all of the neighborhoods after cities in real life. So the neighborhood to the north of the river on the left side, that big one, is called Tallinn. I've got Osaka on the right side. Frankfurt is the downtown area, and Seattle is the new area with a park. There is Indianapolis in the right bottom hand corner, and there is Mannheim, which is the industrial area, and then I think there was actually, and that's kind of stupid, I think I still see that name, The Hague, over there. And that is actually soon going to disappear. Next to that is another city, which I think it's Dallas. Yeah, it is. So that's how my neighborhoods are set up. Don't really know what the real point to that is, although the statistics are actually very nice to see. And I like the idea of being able to set up neighborhoods like that in general. It's not only, it doesn't only look nice, and it's really funny to see those names when you zoom out. It's also very practical at some point, when you need to see whether certain services are actually good enough in a certain place. So yeah, that's really awesome. And as you can see, kind of working on that highway over there, because this is, so far I don't have to use this highway too often, but then again, I was also afraid that the industry would cause many traffic problems, which they're obviously going to do, because I think that's happened with everybody who's played this game so far, and I definitely want to avoid that in as many ways as I can possibly do that. So building that highway over there, I was hoping would actually save me some traffic delays in the future. Although not now, because I'm not having too many problems with that industrial area. The only error that I've made so far, which was quite stupid and I should have definitely thought of that, is the fact that everyone who needs to go to the industry needs to go through the old town that I had in the beginning. So I think that area is pretty clogged with traffic. Other than that, it's not really too bad, but definitely need to fix that at some point. So there's also the thing that, you know, I like this idea of having green energy, and of course, haha, and the Scandinavian builders of this game, so plenty of green energy options that you have here. The only problem that I do have with this though is those windmills in the water, and they just look kind of awkward. They're not really good for the immersion into the game, at least not for me, because I've never really seen those things in real life. Seems to be a bit too futuristic, and even if it was realistic, I mean, the river is still full of stupid stuff that I don't really want to have in there. So as soon as I can really buy more land, as in many squares, maybe even get the mod, I'm just going to get some fields and place many windmills on that, because not only is that more realistic, there is something, I know many people complain about the way that windmills look, but I actually kind of like it. I kind of like to see the city and those windmills in the background and be like, hey, green energy. I'm good at this. I don't know why. It just seems like that to me. And at that point, I didn't have too many issues, by the way, with the industrial area over there. But not yet, because I am pretty sure that that's going to happen at some point, especially when the industrial area is going to get a lot bigger, because it seems like the industrial areas have at least like 3 or 4 times as much traffic as the other areas, and of course they're trucks, so also a lot more annoying and much more, well, spacious in that sense, so that might cause some problems in the future. And at this point I was confused as to why I had that enormous office area over there with so much commercial zones, and I still had a tiny sliver of demand for commercial, and that was kind of weird, because I felt like I had way too much commercial in this already as of now, but it turns out that that's not really the case, so I was like, okay, then I'm okay with that. But the land value in Frankfurt as a whole is not too great, and that's why I decided to build that little neighborhood over there, so it would be more enclosed by the rest of the city and actually get a higher land value like that. Because there's not really space for parks or stuff like that over there. And oh god, at that point the entire part of the city became abandoned because of electricity problems. And I still need to install the mod which automatically abandons buildings, but then again, I still don't want to, because it just feels like cheating to me in some sense. So I might actually install it 10 episodes later, because at some point I'm probably going to need it if the city gets really big. As soon as I run into problems, I don't really want to remove hundreds of buildings. I mean, I understand that you need to remove buildings at some point, but that's taking it too far probably. Speaking of taking it too far, those windmills were definitely taking it too far, and I actually had the option to remove some of them, so I did. And I'm actually going to make another neighborhood to the left side of that highway over there, because I'm not really sure where else to expand, but that area is next to a highway and should definitely be able to expand without any traffic problems. And at this point I figured that, okay, I've got the downtown over there, but right next to the downtown is that weird kind of suburban area, and that doesn't really seem like the best transition ever, so decided to add a small strip of, well, quote-unquote skyscrapers over there, and see what the area would grow into, and make this little area a park, because it seems like there's not enough green stuff over here in this city. And I know there is already plenty of trees and parks in this city, but to me it's not nearly enough. I just love parks like that. But seriously, I think there are much more trees than people usually think in cities. Because seriously, many buildings have trees, at least either next to it or very close to it. And parks are somewhat common in cities. It's not like a city is actually an extreme concrete jungle where nothing lives and there is no nature. And to see even a single tree, you're gonna have to move kilometers out of the city. That's definitely not the case. And what I think is also not the case, and this is something that, you know, it's my personal opinion, and I kind of want to avoid this just because I like it, but I want to keep the high density buildings of any kind to minimum in this city, because I feel like a city with like 10,000 to 20,000 people in it is definitely not big enough to place many skyscrapers in. And I see so many people already doing this thing where as soon as you get the high density, you're going to spam it everywhere. And I must admit that's definitely something that I've always done in SimCity and any other city game for that matter. I mean, well, no other city game for that matter. What else really exists? Now, the issue with that is, in SimCity it was absolutely necessary to build high density buildings, because otherwise you would barely be able to fit anything else into it, and it was really hard without making either the taxes high or the expenditures very low to actually keep a city without high buildings running. But in this game it's almost the exact opposite, because I've seen many people go for the high density buildings all the way kind of route, and then eventually you would end up having traffic jams and other problems, because high buildings do bring problems with them, and for that kind of practical reason I'm avoiding that, but only just because also because, you know, this is still a not that big city, so it's not going to come with huge skyscrapers, at least not yet. I am probably going to do that in the downtown area later on. And this little road thing over here is completely ugly, that's why I removed it, and in the end I just decided to go for a really simple pattern with those And actually, the zoning was kind of random in this case. I was just like, oh, I might as well place some high density, so I placed that over there. But actually, in the end, it does look really awesome with the highway, with the flats next to it, and some parks. So I really do like that. But yeah, that's it for this episode. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, in which I'm going to do some general improvement of the city.